Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to dispel a myth out there, a very popular myth in the bodybuilding world. It I think needs to be dispelled a little bit. Now you always see guys like both Marc Lobliner and Piana. They're always out there saying that guys on steroids, even on heavy doses of steroids, still have to bust their ass and train hard to make progress. Isn't that what they're always telling us? Piana says that too. Drew advocates 8-hour arm workouts. Marc Lobliner always talking about he's seen guys who made no gains on drugs, who didn't train hard enough, or who didn't eat enough protein, right? You hear all this nonsense. I'm going to disprove all of that with provable scientific studies and lab-controlled environments. I'm going to link it down below, and I'm going to discuss the data. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on my crafting a little bit, see if we can skill it up. And let's look at the data. So this study I've linked before, and there are multiple replications of the same study out there, or very similar studies. It's been replicated. All right, they took a bunch of test subjects, and they wanted to see what would happen when they give them testosterone. Remember here, this is done in the United States. This is American pharmaceutical grade, FDA grade testosterone. This may not be the bathtub gear some of you guys are getting at the gym, or that some of your friends are. A little bit of difference. This is FDA grade American big pharma stuff. The real deal. It is very heavily regulated by the FDA. It has to be perfectly dosed. So, what did we have for guys here? We had a bunch of guys in their 20s, healthy young men who had at least 1 year of continuous weight training experience under their belt. They averaged 165 pounds in body weight. And when they tested their max leg press strength on a machine there, because again, they used a machine so that they could accurately measure force and power generation instead of just using arbitrary weight, so they could measure everything, the power and force and everything, the speed of it with electronic sensors. They were averaging, because it's all in kilos, about 950 pounds max on a leg press, which is reasonable. A lot of guys seem to think the leg press is amazing to leg press over 1,000 pounds. It really isn't. That's why I don't bother with a leg press. It takes all day to load this slide up and get people to climb on top of it. I'm a 500+ pound raw squatter. So for me, I mean, I need probably 2,500 pounds on a leg press to get adequate resistance, which means putting guys up on top of it also. It's stupid. So that being said, they did use a leg press, and which means they were, you figure what? They're probably all maybe 300 pound squatters if they're leg pressing 950. Maybe, I don't know, hard to say. We don't know what their back and core strength is like, but that's where they were. That is where they were, because you see a lot of people say you won't gain strength, you won't gain muscle, all this without, doing everything right. Your diet's got to be on point to gain muscle and strength, and your training's got to be on point. You got to bust your ass. And again, all these guys claim this. And again, this is someone who I am neutral on gear. I don't claim to be natural. And again, people be like, why aren't you bigger? You guys haven't seen me in person, I guess. Bigger than you guys think. I'm a hell of a lot bigger than Jerry Ward and Jeff Side and some of these guys you are talking about. But, whatever. You don't have to believe me, guys. You know what? It's fine. Everyone thinks I'm lying. Whatever. Doesn't make a fuck. Doesn't make a fuck, because it doesn't disprove my point here. I could be 120 pounds dripping wet and it wouldn't matter, because we have hard evidence. So, how hard did these guys work? They were given strict orders to exercise not at all. Nothing but slow intensity cardio. They were told no weight training, no body weight exercises, no intense or moderate cardio, meaning nothing faster than a brisk walk. Now, that also meant their calories were dropped down lower, because they were told that they averaged, 36 calories per kilogram of body weight. Well, weighing 75 kilos on average, that means about 2,700 calories. A lot of guys go, well, that's not enough. But when you consider they're not exercising, 2,700 calories for a 165-pound male not exercising is a pretty heavy amount. Most people are going to gain weight and gain body fat on that. They didn't gain body fat. They lost body fat. But that's another story. What did they see for results? Because they went 20 weeks without touching a weight, without exercising. No intense exercise allowed. These guys weren't even allowed to do body weight squats or push-ups. Well, according to the DEXA scan, the guys who were given 600 milligrams of testosterone every single week were given Also some stuff to suppress their natural production, so they were only on the exogenous hormones, so they didn't even have to wait for HTPA to shut down, but they were given other stuff there too for that, which actually should reduce gain slightly. But 600 milligrams of testosterone. Anyone look at the charts and know how much muscle they gained? 18 pounds of muscle. Now, a lot of people are going to go, well, you know, the DEXA scan sorry, I guess I'm getting mixed up. I apologize. A lot of people are going to go, well, it was water weight, 600 milligrams of testosterone with no AIs, they bloated and everything. No, they didn't. When the DEXA scan was run to check their intramuscular water, it was found to be the same with the extra 18 pounds, the same percentage of water in the muscle as there was before they went on the drugs. So it wasn't water weight gain, it wasn't bloat. They gained 18 pounds of muscle in 20 weeks on this. The control groups, which continued to lift weights, gained like half the muscle they gained. Most people on noob gains at best, gain 2 pounds of muscle per month. So at the most, a human being is going to gain with their noob gains during that same time period to be 10 pounds of muscle while lifting weights on a really good program, right? 10 pounds of muscle gain. It's your noob gains for the same amount of time. 20 weeks is 5 months. These guys gained double the amount of muscle noobs gain in the gym in the best case of situations while sitting on their ass and having already completed their noob gains. These guys all had over a year of training, so their noob gains are already done. They've made most of their noob gains already. They sat on their ass on the couch and didn't work out at all and put on twice the muscle a noob would gain with his noob gains in the gym. Twice. 18 pounds. Oh, they all also lost 1.5 pounds on average. They lost over 1 pound of body fat on top of it. So these guys sat on their ass eating 2,700 calories a day, not exercising. They gained 18 pounds of muscle, and they averaged about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of fat loss on top of it. They lost a little fat, gained twice the muscle people gain lifting weights. Who are getting noob gains, who've already finished their noob gains, just sitting around. They just quit lifting. 18 pounds of muscle. And the guys are saying, oh, they must have needed a lot of protein for all that. They consume the protein that is recommended for maximum muscle gain for athletes by the top experts, which is what? 1 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That's what I always recommend. That's all the body needs to gain maximum muscle. Well, these guys were given 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, right in that range. Which meant at their body weight, they consumed an average of 90 grams of protein a day. That is considered to be a high protein diet by dietitians. That was enough protein for them to gain 18 pounds of muscle. 90 grams of protein a day, that's less than 100 grams. They didn't need any protein shakes for that, by the way, just for those curious. So when everyone talks about, well, you got to eat all this protein and bust your ass in the gym to make any gains, even on drugs, really? Then how come these guys gained 18 pounds of muscle sitting on their ass? Confirmed with DEXA scans, mind you, 18 pounds. Sitting on their ass after they'd been training over a year while consuming 90 grams of protein a day. Now you have all these guys who want to talk about how hard they have to train to gain muscle. What are people's doses? Jerry Ward. I linked the screenshot of him giving me his cycle before. The blast he was on back when he was pimping BioGrow. Anyone remember? It was 2,000 milligrams of assorted anabolics, testosterone, and it might have been like, I don't remember for sure. I know there was DECA in there, and I don't remember whether it was EQ or Tren. But 2 grams total, plus growth hormone, plus IGF-1. Now, what he debated, of course, was that his IGF-1 dose, that I changed the number. I didn't. I just screenshotted it and kept it. I gave his exact number that he typed. He could have made a typo, but that's besides the fact. That's his mistake, not mine. And I'll acknowledge that he could have made a typo and put an extra 0 accidentally. It's very possible. But that being said, 2 grams of gear, 2,000 milligrams plus growth hormone plus IGF-1. That's what Jerry Ward was running at the time. These guys are running 600 milligrams of testosterone by itself. Less than a third of that amount, no growth hormone, no IGF-1 in the mix. Rich Piana has admitted and shown up to 4.5 grams. That's 4,500 milligrams plus hefty amounts of growth hormone, IGF-1, all sorts of other stuff. These guys are on 600 milligrams. 4,500 plus other stuff versus 600. 600 milligrams. They gained 18 pounds of muscle sitting on their ass and consuming 90 grams of protein a day. Now, we're not going to get into all Lobliner's doses because he's very secretive. And I'm not going to repeat the only things he's implied to me because that's not direct quotes. I can't say that he actually said that's what he used. He just implied things. But Marc has been known to possibly go over 2 grams. And I will say that a coach of his, who did coach him when he won his pro card in his federation, I was friends with that coach, and that coach has had some health problems, and I don't know if he's alive right now anymore. But he did give me a stack that he had given Marc for that contest, and it was over 2,000 milligrams, and it did include growth hormone. Now, these guys want us to believe, all these guys who use 2 grams or more, want us to believe that they have to have this amazing training and nutrition knowledge to gain muscle. For them to gain muscle on 2 or more grams of anabolics plus growth hormone, IGF-1, other stuff. But these guys in this study sat on their asses and gained 18 pounds of muscle. And these were not new lifters, mind you. Oh, and did they get stronger? Yeah, they did. Their leg press all went up by an average of 170 pounds while not exercising. So these were guys who had naturally, drug-free, built up to a 950-pound leg press, right? 950 average. And then quit lifting, sat on their asses, ate 90 grams of protein a day, no exercising, and they put 170 pounds on their max leg press the first time. They came in and tested their strength again, and they were averaging 170 pounds more on it than what they were 20 weeks ago when they quit exercising. So the question here really becomes, who do these guys think they're fooling when they pretend that when they're on 2 or more grams of gear that they need to have this amazing work ethic, that they have this great training knowledge, that they have to know enormous amounts of knowledge about training and nutrition and everything else for them to be making muscle gains? Really? How are we, all of us, supposed to feel about that when we see what these guys did in this study? 90 grams of protein sitting on their asses for 20 weeks. They gained 18 pounds of muscle. They all lost at least a pound of body fat. And they put 170 pounds on their max leg press, sitting on the couch. 90 grams of protein. On a third, less than a third of the doses all these guys use. And in some cases, but some guys are admitting a tenth of what they use. And that's not even trying to factor in the growth hormone, because I can assure you, you don't gain less muscle by adding growth hormone and IGF-1 to 2 grams of anabolics. It doesn't make you gain less muscle. We could argue as to how much more it makes you gain, but it won't make you gain less, that's for sure. I think that's a fair statement. So, again, these guys, how much do they really need to know? When they're blasting the doses of gear that they admit to, how much do these guys really need to know about training? Here's the real question. Do they really even need to train at all? Do they really need to train at all? I mean, hell, Rich Piana, let's talk about nutrition knowledge. All he did was eat enormous amounts of food. The guy was blending whole boxes of Fruity Pebbles into protein shakes and drinking them and eating an In-N-Out burger every day. On the blast that he was on all those drugs, he was gaining enormous amounts of muscle, was losing fat while just eating as much garbage as he could pump into his body. Just pure calories. I mean, we see how guys like Jerry Ward train, yet he makes gains, training like a complete idiot. No idea about training. No idea. But, you know, when he's on 2 grams of gear plus growth hormone and IGF-1, he sure makes gains. How about Marc talking about all this protein people need? Want to put all these kids on, they need 250 grams of protein. Really? Well, how come these guys gained 18 pounds of muscle on 90 grams of protein? Maybe you're just selling protein powders for a living. Maybe you got a vested financial interest in all these kids buying protein powder when they don't actually need any of it. Hell, even the guys on steroids don't. And people say, oh, it's just because of the steroids. Really? Steroids make you grow muscle even faster. They don't magically create protein and amino acids out of the thin air. Now, they might help you with feed efficiency. They'll slow down protein degradation and breakdown in the body a little bit. But here's my question. Are you really breaking down protein in the body when you're not exercising? But these guys on 90 grams of protein a day were able to get the extra protein they needed in their diet to put on 18 pounds of muscle. 20 weeks, that is almost a full pound of muscle every week. That is double what noobs gains are. That's double what noobs gain in the gym. So really, how much protein do guys really need to gain muscle? Think about it. Stop and think about it. And all these guys want to pretend that you need an amazing work ethic, an amazing knowledge of training, and to bust your ass, and to know how to eat to gain muscle. Bullshit. The studies down there, the hard data in a laboratory controlled study using pharmaceutical grade American drugs, with DEXA scans and everything involved to check their progress. Blood work, DEXA scans, everything. It's all right there. We can even see what their testosterone levels were every 4 weeks. They measured all their blood work, everything. You still have to bust your ass to make gains on gear. Really? The science says you're full of shit. All of you guys are full of shit. It's all drugs and it's all genetics. That's all bodybuilding is. The reason some of these guys look so fantastic, they're genetics. You just put the right drugs into the guys with the right genes and they're going to look amazing. It's nothing to do with what they know. It's about the parents they picked and what needle they put in their butt cheek. That's it. That's all bodybuilding is. Nothing more, nothing less. Just is what it is. Alright guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.